Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Temelkov.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to welcome today a very special guest, a leader who cares, a leader who actually is one of the youngest and most talented leaders that I have come across in a very dear industry and field that we all probably like and love, hospitality. Someone who actually takes care of not only the guests, but also his own people. And I'm really excited to welcome Kai Schukowski. Kai, thank you for joining today. And I'm really looking forward to hear more about your story. I kind of had a privilege to get to know you through great friends. And I know you are running one of the most successful hotels, and a five-star one for those who are wondering. But I'll let you kind of share a brief introduction and tell us more about your story. Welcome.
Well, Marian, thank you very much for the nice introduction. I'm not sure about talented, youngest still, yeah, I appreciate that. But obviously we're doing our very best here, we can. As you said, been working here in this beautiful hotel in the capital of Lithuania, Vilnius, for the last 4 years now. Been loving it ever since I came here. Actually started in the winter of when I came here from the sun of Dubai. So I moved from a previous posting in Dubai, coming here, having been greeted by minus 15 degrees in a completely new place. To be honest, it was quite a transition from 30 degrees to minus 15. But I love the place, the people. It's an amazing city to live and visit. If you haven't been here, definitely once that mayhem or stops and slows down, I really encourage you to visit beautiful Vilnius. Amazing city.
With pleasure. I mean, well, first of all, tell us what attracted you to get into hospitality in first place, and then I would like to hear more about really how did you make that transition? Because most people dream of being in Dubai in a hot place and having that life, and you coming back to Europe, and especially in Vilnius. How did that happen? And
Definitely. Look, I mean, it started when I was probably 14, 15 years old. I mean, I was fortunate to travel with my parents as a kid, quite a bit. And I loved to, we didn't stay in the craziest places, but, just the fact of traveling alone, checking into a hotel. And I always had this magical feeling, being in a new place. And I always thought it would be so nice to see what these people do behind the reception, behind the counter, And I started, reading more about it and getting interested in. And eventually, my heart was there. I had the feeling I want to do more of this. My parents were not very happy with my decision. I can tell you that. They were actually anything but happy. They said, if all else fails, you can always become, hotelier. That's like the worst part you can go to, right? They want me to be the doctor or pilot, the typical things that parents want of their kids.
Yeah.
Actually, my dad said, if you're really serious about this, you have to do a 6 months unpaid internship in a hotel. If you still like it afterwards, we will support you in your future and obviously with the studies, etc. And so I did. I did 6 months in a hotel in Berlin. Absolutely loved it. Fell in love with the job. And they said, okay, we give up. We are behind you. And then from there, it just kind of evolved naturally. I studied in Dubai, actually 3 years, 1 year in Switzerland. So it was a partnership school. It was amazing. I mean, Dubai is, I would say, the mecca of hospitality, so to say. It's like really, the who is represented in Dubai. Very competitive, very cutting edge market, but I loved it. And that gave me the impetus to further, obviously, grow my career in the company. And I was really privileged to join a fantastic company of Kempinski. And since joining as my first job, I never really left. Obviously, I love it in the company and have moved and grown within ever since.
Wow, what a great story. This is so common. I know you're resonating with a lot of young people right now and future leaders that their parents often want them what they know, which they think is the best, is like to be a doctor or a pilot or a diplomat or something of this kind. And but in actual fact, more often the parents and probably should listen to and pay attention to what their children actually aspire to, because you can be successful and make extraordinary things in anything. In fact, if you go into something that you don't like, you can be good at it, you can become good, but you'll never be exceptional, because you always, you'll never push the norm of what's...
Industries, I mean, further to your point, industries are changing, right? I mean, a few years ago, a banker was like a great thing. Now, banker is becoming more a coder, developer, because these things are becoming algorithm run, right? The same car industry. I mean, that was very attractive industry a few years ago. Now, I'm not so sure anymore. But then again, there's new industries like crypto, like fintech, and so many exciting things that our parents wouldn't even have known of. So I think it's very dynamic, and I agree with you that parents shouldn't be too overbearing on their kids' decision in their life, right?
No, but what a great story that you just shared. And Kai, hospitality is profound, I think, about care. And this is so excited for you to have you. You won a number of awards and recognitions. Tell us what is the secret to your success? And do you think care plays some part in it?
For sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, as you said, been very lucky to win these awards, but these awards are not because of me, but because of the team. I mean, I was, blessed enough to lead amazing teams, but I think you only build an amazing team if you really genuinely care. And I say that quite often myself. Obviously, there's a lot of elements, and I don't have the one answer to how to build the perfect team. I guess we all try to always do that. But I think it's a multiple factors that are part of it, but definitely care and genuine, sincere care is a big part of it. And obviously there's a lot of facets, and I guess we speak more about it because, it's a fine line between care. Often I see people over caring and being nurturing, like almost to a point where you spend most of your days just listening to people's problems, because once you start that, of course people will come to you, and all you do is listen and sort out their problems, which I think is the wrong care, right? I mean, you should be approachable, you should be open for them to come to you with their issues and to look after. But I think it's a bit like when you look to the animal kingdom, when the children are young, the parents are nurturing them, giving them the right tools, food, resources, whatever, and skills to survive, and then they're on their own to make it happen, and then to put these skills into the next generation. I think the same is here, right? Caring doesn't mean you have to listen 5 hours a day to the problems they have and give relationship counsel. I think that's probably the wrong type of result and leadership in that position. If you have 10 people, it might be different. If you lead 100, 1,000, 10,000, you just don't have the time. But listening to the challenges, genuinely listen, and then obviously make adjustments. So if they feel they're lacking resources, vision, support, find the right environment and build it for them so they have it and can do their job. It's not about spoon feeding and holding their hand all along, but listen to it and react to it. Obviously, that's the key importance. I think what we try to do of giving them the right resources, tools, vision to fulfill their own path. It's not about listening to their relationship, but giving them the right environment and building a culture of care. Because we have here over 100 people, right? I don't physically and have the time to listen to all of them coming to me. So what I do is I lead with my managers right around me, the closest to me, and build that culture, that momentum that they trust and open to me. And by doing so, they are paying the same forward to their own team, and it kind of trickles down, right? I mean, that's the hope. That's what we try to accomplish. And through that, it kind of builds that culture. It's not one person that cares and everybody's happy. It's a culture of care, and that's what we try to do.
Amazing. And especially now, we know hospitality is in a obviously great, very challenging time and really difficult moments. And of course, that's kind of people have uncertainty. There's a lot of really kind of even fear in many ways, and especially if the leaders are not kind of leading in that way. And We actually even have a question here from Stefan, who wanted to say, could you share actually some practical advice on leading in times of crisis and uncertainty? You know, what helped you to lead your team through the challenging times in hospitality industry, especially in the past few months and during the crisis time?
Definitely. I mean, valid question. I think we all went through our ups and downs, but I always believe, you know, as the head of an organization, fish smells from the head, right? So if I come in the morning to the office, to the hotel, to the team, have a briefing, and I'm all depressed and negative and say how bad the world is and we're all going to lose our jobs tomorrow, that's not exactly instilling confidence in my team and to me that I can, you know, go through the crisis, and it's not giving them the positivity and the momentum they need, again, to pay it forward to their team, right? So I think it's very important that we as leaders and you know, even if you're not the CEO of the company, but you're still the leader in your own department, in your little team, whatever it may be. So you as a person responsible for other people need to instill a certain can-do attitude, because you always have two options. You can say, listen, it's too much and I really think the world is going to end. Well, then leave now. You know, make space for somebody else who has a different mindset, who can carry the ship forward. And so if you are hanging in there, and I think, you know, you see the positivity and optimism, then you should display it. And obviously, again, people are smart, right? They can see if you fake it. I mean, sometimes you have to fake it. We all have our bad days, and you kind of have to, you know, come across still positive. But I really try to not overindulge in negativity and bad news, because of course, if I read all these things happening, you really start to doubt, maybe it is actually going to end and we're never going to be operating the way we have been. So rather than overindulging in bad news, and I really try to reduce the amount of news I'm consuming on a daily basis consciously, and rather focus on places, and we spoke before about it, like in Dubai, like in Maldives, where things are happening. What are they doing? How are they doing it differently? What can we learn from other places that are succeeding, right? So actively look at what you can control. And through this, I can then go to my team and say, listen, guys, yes, ABC is very bad. You can't be oblivious to what's happening in the world. You still have to see what's going on. But based on this, I see an opportunity, ABC. Let's discuss. What do you think? Can we do it? Can we not do it? And through that, you have a healthy, more solution-driven discussion, which is so much better than, again, sharing how bad the world is. And I think that by itself instills a mindset of positivity, of can-do attitude, and something that you can control. And that gives an empowering feeling to myself and, of course, to my managers and team members.
Amazing. And look, you were also discussing even earlier, and you're profound and famous for bringing innovations to that team, especially in crisis times. And as you said, you know, there is a lot of difficult decisions to be made, and the world, you can't be ignorant to what's happening, of course. But also, it's an opportunity, and I'm confident that while you guys are going through this tough time, a lot of goodness is coming, and I'm sure when we are allowed, everyone would want to travel and visit. So I think it will come back, and will come back even stronger than ever before. I think the world and people appreciate it a lot more. But what are the kind of really, what is different to your approach? What are how do you really bring these innovations, ideas, you know, and give us some examples, perhaps, of something that you felt it was really positive and made a difference?
Definitely. I fully agree. Again, these times are the time to experiment, to try new things, and to kind of challenge the usual conventions, I suppose, because, you know, you either swim or you drown, and I don't like drowning, so we try our best to survive and get through it as good as possible. So again, innovation doesn't just come from one person, it doesn't just come from myself. Again, we are catalysts. We, as leaders, we try to build a culture and foster thinking where ideas are openly voiced, shared, they're not laughed at. The crazier the idea, the more I like it. You know, it doesn't mean we implement it. There's a difference between ideation and execution, right? So a lot of ideas you can dream and come up with. You know, we all would love to see one day the robot doing the room service, which actually already happens in parts of China, and the self-cleaning room. So these are ideations, but then there's things that, you know, are tangible and you can execute tomorrow. So again, having a culture where we really openly share and discuss things. There was some really, really good stuff coming out, and one of the most, during this time, greatest innovation, and I'm not sure if it's innovation. Often we say innovation. I think a lot of things are actually evolutions, right? Nobody really reinvents something completely new. So I would say rather an evolution of how things had been previously done. So what we've done, we were the first hotel in Lithuania, if not parts of Europe, that kind of, because the restaurants and bars obviously had been shut down, so a lot of the people went into food delivery. So they kind of, sign up with the courier and just deliver the food. But again, in a 5-star hotel, you offer different kind of food, and like really, food that doesn't deliver too well. So we didn't want to go that route, what everybody took. So instead, we had a dine in the room offer. So basically, what we did, we removed an entire floor of the restaurant, removed the beds, the desks, and so on, and set the furniture from the restaurant into each of the rooms. And we allowed guests from the outside to basically come in and reserve a room. You basically stay in the room, you're not paying extra, and you dine as you would in the restaurant, but in a 5-star hotel room with a beautiful view over the city center of Vilnius. That's been so hugely popular because, again, you can't really go anywhere else. After a while, you're fed up ordering all your burgers and what have you. So it was such a welcomed addition to the local market that we really had such a over demand that we couldn't cater to a point where we had to bring back more people, that we previously had to send back. And it was really, really nice to see. And I think that was one of the most profitable and guest-pleasing innovation. There's also innovation, the evolution that goes on behind these curtains that guests maybe not see. But I think in terms of most visible and really helping us to survive these critical times, this was really something that just came up. And again, that was part of a group discussion. That wasn't just me who said, I want to have this. There was a healthy discussion we had, and just one thought led to another. We said, let's give it a go. And it was hugely successful and popular. So I'm really proud of my team for that, actually.
Amazing. Well, look, it shows that you can actually do great things and even bring back more people to work. So
sure.
What a great thing, Kai, and thinking. And you said this is where the power of the team comes in. When you genuinely care, and of course, you're right. As a leader, you need to display that positivity, that vision, that optimism. And sometimes it's not always, as you say, possible. But at least most of the times, it's your duty to help and make a difference in a profound difference. Kai, tell us what are the most let's say interesting places you visit, because you coming from hospitality and you're running a 5-star hotel. This is a passion of yours. I can see that you to discover, to visit. Sure. Look, it will be. I'm pretty sure it'll be very interesting to hear some of those most exclusive or interesting experiences that you've had in throughout your experience.
Well, I think we only have 1 hour, so sadly, that might be a segment on its own, because I think there's so many. But
pick the best one. Pick one.
Look, really, it's all over the world, and I really respect people in the hospitality industry, because it's very dynamic in a way that people's experience. We always say we want to exceed people's experience, right? That's the main goal we have. We want to exceed your expectations. Well, if you always stay in 5-star hotels, people's job is to make sure that we exceed your expectations. So if you're coming after staying in Four Seasons, Mandarin Oriental, Ritz-Carlton, the finest, and Kempinski, of course, the finest hotels around the world, and you come to me, how can I exceed your expectations? So, I love the fact that people always come up with new things and try different ideas. And really, I don't only look at luxury segment, right? I look at all sorts of segments. So, there's so many examples that come to mind, but I like very much when you, for example, dine with entertainment attached to it. So not just amazing food. Amazing food these days is a given, right? If I go to a fancy restaurant, I would expect amazing food. That's like if you go to a 5-star hotel, you expect an amazing bed and a good night's sleep. But I like when there is a story told or some elements around it. I was lucky enough to go with my girlfriend the last 2 weeks. We've been to Dubai. No, I'm not that tent, but because we'll probably spend too much time in hotels and restaurants to check them out. But for me, it's so amazing to see the life that's happening within the restaurant. So in addition to serving you the food, and it starts by the food not just being served, but being prepared at your table. And I think that's something so different, that not just here's a plate, please enjoy, But they come and there's a story. The chef, from Greece, he prepares the salad in front of you and he tells a story. When he pours the olive oil over, it's from his backyard in Greece. If it's true or not, I don't know, but it's an authentic delivery. I believe them, and it was really touching moment. In another restaurant, they brought us, while we're dining, all of a sudden the waitress brought some plates, on the table. The plates were sitting there, and it's kind of weird. And then half an hour later, she came back and said, yeah, the show is about to begin. So there was some dances going on. And as the tradition has it, while they dance, you have to get up and smash the plates on the floor, basically. So it's such an entertainment value, while instead of just eating a meal, you have that kind of, activity, action going on, everybody smiling, everybody getting out their phone. It's so captivating experience. And I think these things are ever more important because, people are bored of just, sitting at the table, white tablecloth, and just eating your average meal. I think we have to go above and beyond to come up with new experiences and challenge conventional dining or hospitality in that way. And I think people are ready. They expect different things. And it's our job to give it to them. And those who do it the best will capture the majority of the people coming.
I love it, as you said, and this is so true because it's about experiences. And someone said one of the best investment you can have is invest in a great experiences because one experience is not just the moment. It's the story you tell afterwards. How many times you're going to share that experience? How much good feeling is going to create to you and the people around you? So
for sure.
Absolutely. And this is another very great question here that comes exactly in that line of vision. And Stas is actually asking another one and saying, what could other industry learn from hospitality when it comes down to exceptional customer care? And from your experience, what makes a guest coming back over and over again?
Definitely. I think a lot. And that's why a lot of, for example, when I studied in my hotel school, more than half the people actually ended up in different industries than hospitality, because a lot of the companies are they know they have an issue in their service delivery, so they actively go after these hospitality people because they know they understand business, they understand the customer journey, and they bring that luxury touch and that customer journey thinking to the table. So I think, I'll give you an example. I'm from Germany, from Berlin, and I was there last year I was much traveling 2 years ago, before the whole COVID situation. And, you have obviously a lot of shops that complain about Amazon taking over, all that trade, and they're closing, and there's nothing they can do about it. So, yes, on the one hand side, it's true, but I've been to a very nice men's boutique, where I was, and they took a different approach. They really and living that customer journey. So basically, instead of just coming in and say, "Can I help you? Are you looking for something?" The standard question, which usually you should just shrug off and say, "No, I just want to have a look." They said, "Welcome, sir. Before you start browsing, may I offer you a coffee?" Yeah, sure. I'll take a coffee with pleasure. It was not just a standard coffee. It was a beautiful. They had actually a small barista machine. They invested into having a proper barista man making a fantastic cappuccino.
Wow.
And, obviously, once you sit down, you're not going to walk with your coffee. You sit down, enjoy it. Came a fantastic gentleman, really genuine, nice personality, and just started chatting with me. What my style is, what I like, what kind of hobbies I have. Said, based on that, let me curate a couple of options. If you don't like them, fair enough. But while you're enjoying your coffee, let me bring. So on the iPad, he was kind of basically showing me a few styles that he could see on me. And I was sitting there. I said, I didn't even think about buying anything. I literally just wanted to browse. But through that experience, I was almost compelled to buy something, and I did in the end. So I think, again, that just shows, rather than going the usual customer convention, think outside the box, be different, and see what you can control. Rather than blaming Amazon for your dropping business, think outside the box and see what you can actively control and do different than your competitors.
Exactly. Amazon could be the best thing that's happened to your shop, and maybe you come up with a great idea that actually differentiate in that sense. And well, look, what you're sharing, Kai, is greatly valuable, and thank you for really encouraging others to think outside the box in that aspect. However, I know one thing, that to get into that state of creativity, because a lot of innovations come when you are in that. You mentioned it. You had a good coffee. You were relaxed. You were compelled, you were pampered, you kind of got into your energy was in the right place to start thinking about that.
Yes.
And this is so important. And I see that you have that positivity and that kind of innovation and creativity mindset. Tell us about, what do you do? How do you take care of yourself first to kind of be in that state? What helps you? What are your habits? What are the things that really personally you do so that people can actually maybe look it up and try themselves and see how could they get in that creative mindset? And because if you have a lot of problems and you're so stressed out, creativity is really the last thing you may have. It's like...
Fully agreed. And I always say, health above all. I even say really above all, because if I'm not healthy, I cannot be there for my girlfriend, I cannot be there for my family, and certainly I won't be thriving in my career, and I won't foster any creativity or what have you. If you're not healthy in the hospital, you caught anything, you can't deliver top performance. So often, people know that. It seems like, that makes sense. But then when you look at their day-to-day life, what they do and what they do to their body, it doesn't seem to be aligned. So I really try to take this serious. Now, I'm by no way means a perfectionist. I think there's a lot of things that I can also do better. But I think, especially since last year, I've taken this even more serious to really try to reduce, things that may be detrimental to your health, like even drinking. I've never been much of a drinker, but now if I have one glass a month, that's already a lot. So I really try to cut down this. Exercise, it's so key for me to move. And I felt it, the first time when we had the first lockdown, and I think we all went through the motions, the fitness studios were closed, you couldn't really go outside because of quarantine measures. So honestly, these 3 months were probably the hardest for me, because it was completely, you try to do some home workouts and so on, but I could immediately feel how my energy levels went down. So because energy, people think the more they exercise, the less energy they have. I think it's the opposite. The more you exercise and move and do, it actually gives you incremental energy, right? So people have the wrong perception. I think, better than moving, let's binge watch 4 hours Netflix on the couch. And that's actually the opposite to energy creation. Absolutely. So I really believe in exercising. In normal times, I would do 6 to 7 times a week. Now it's 4 to 5 times. And it's, can be just for a brisk walk outside for 1 hour, but just get the steps and get the movement, get your body movement, and that helps you to, for me at least, think clearer and come up with more ideas. Secondly, as I said, I really try to remove all the distractions, and especially negative distractions around me, starting from news, right? Of course, as you said before, you have to read the news. You need to know what's happening in the world, but be very mindful of what kind of news you're reading. A lot of magazine is only about and people reading the comments and all these internet trolls. I think that's probably not going to do you too well. So I try to be very careful of reading news. And the good thing of being an English speaker and having access to the internet, you can read news from a variety of countries. So I try to get a more global view and different perspective. So I'm sure you have the same. You can see, maybe from your home country, people are very much biased to one way, but then you read Australian news, let's say, and it's quite a different perspective. So I think it's always refreshing to take a different take on it. Not one way is better than the other, but just to kind of get a more holistic view on things. Thirdly, the same with social media. Obviously, we're all now sitting more at home, using our phones now much more. And, it's interesting to see, you may be thinking, you may be writing a report, working on a new project, you just want to relax 1 second and open social media and scroll through your Facebook and Instagram, and you think it's just 5 minutes of relaxation, but actually what you see has such a huge impact on your mind. So when you see a post from friends talking about some negative stuff that happens, it takes your mind off things and kind of puts you in a bad mindset. So I actually really been conscious about what's gonna come up on my feed. So actually, even though I'm still, let's say, friends with my friends on Facebook and Instagram, I try to mute all the things that doesn't serve me value. So I really focus on valuable content, inspirational quotes, people that really high achievers. So when I open my phone and go on Instagram, all I see is inspiring people, things that can do, and kind of gives me really a boost, an energy boost, rather than, oh my God, you know, this is complaining about that, here's another virus, because that's not going to help me and serve me in any way, shape or form. So I think that's super, super important. Your feed, people underestimate it, but when you actually go into your analytics, we spend 2-3 hours, some of us, looking at the phones, and it has a huge impact on the way you think. And lastly, I started this probably 5-6 years ago, because I was always obsessed about morning routines. So I was looking all the morning routines of successful people, tried a lot of things, not everything stuck, but the one thing that stuck with me is taking ice cold showers. So this, trust me, take an ice cold shower. I actually take it in the morning and in the evening, as it helps me to relax also. But in the morning, if you take it first thing in the morning, trust me, you can't be grumpy after that. You will just have a big smile, you're energized, and you won't need the coffee for a while. So that's the best I can really recommend.
I love it. For how long do you take the cold shower? How
it's
do you
not that, I would say 30 to 40 seconds, slightly less than a minute, but really on the coldest it gets, which was a bit disappointing in Dubai because it doesn't get so cold. But trust me, here in Vilnius, when I came back, I got it nicely because we have outside up to -10 degrees. Cold is very cold here, and I love it. It just energizes you, and you just feel great about it. So again, the energy in your body that you have and that you bring to your workforce, to your energy, to your team, it's so key because, you know, if we sit here and we're both like totally drained and out of energy, you know, the audience listening now, or the team, if you're in a team meeting, they just lose engagement and lose respect and confidence in you because they want a leader that inspires them, and you can't inspire if you're not healthy or energetic. And I think that's a huge part of it.
I love it, and I can actually concur with you. I've been taking cold showers for almost a year now, and I can tell you the benefits are significant. I tried different things, and I've seen what others are doing and so forth, and it depends. But when you get the cold shower, the body is kind of, they say a little bit of inconvenience every day gives you long convenience for the rest of your life. So really that kind of really what you're saying, I absolutely recommend as well, and it's helped me to resist significant amount of stress that I when you deal with many things, the cold shower really helps the heart, helps the body, helps the cells, reduces inflammation. Really, it's completely, and just to kind of, you mentioned 30-40 seconds, absolutely, and then do you put to hot and then again to cold, or just a little bit on the practical side?
Very technical shower advice here. But no, to your point, to be fair, I start on a warm shower because you have to still do the body hygiene, right? But I always finish. So the last 30-40, so when you come out of it, you just energize. And actually, we started writing, we actually put a waterproof notepad in the shower now, because actually that's also where I get a lot of my ideas. But then often you kind of stuck, you want to write it down on your phone, try to keep things digital, but then you don't have your phone with you, so we put the notepad, so you put it there, and then you obviously afterwards put it into your phone. So again, shower for me is such a holy place, so to say, because it kind of is my thinking safe zone and place, and it gives me the energy I need for the day.
Like Elon Musk, he's also using the showers to get ideas. Okay. And by the way, there's different, just to finish on that topic, there's different ways you can Google, you can search what works for you, but you can start with 10 seconds, just try totally. 10, 20 seconds. And they were saying even there was even a system that I probably will try for the next few months, is where you do 20 seconds cold, 10 seconds hot. Or warm, and then interval for 5 minutes, 20-10, 20-10, and you do that, and that also gives you the best of both worlds, because there's a lot of benefits in the sauna on the warm side, but if you combine that with that temperature volatility, so the variation of the temperature, it just helps to significantly to awaken your body, and there's a lot of goodness. You can search it as well, and so thank you for sharing all this. There's also, you mentioned about many other things about health, of exercise, and as you mentioned, there is a lot more than just to train once, and I think it's some of the what I've also figured out is some great articles in that, and they say that the secret, if you look at those blue zones where people live to over 100, and it's like Sardinia and 4 other zones in the world. It's interesting that you mentioned move, walk. They engage in low physical activities during the whole day, pretty much. And unfortunately, with our kind of lives, that's not necessarily possible, but you can find a way to deal with it. So a few ideas that was suggested is every time before you have a meal, there was this great really athlete that was sharing this, and I was really impressed. He says he does like 30 seconds of intense exercise before he goes and have a meal. And basically that allows the 30 seconds. It could be like push-ups or burpees, whatever. Just go to the toilet, wash your hands, and do something.
It's funny you say that. To be honest, my team already knows that. Before any big conference calls or big meetings, I usually do push-ups before, because again, it just gives me that little extra energy boost and alertness that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I fully agree with you. It's not about going 1 time a week, 3 hours in the gym. That will not help you at all. It's about consistency, and rather little, less, but done over a long time. I mean, everybody tries to find the next big, the fix or the hack, or tell me how to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. It's really not rocket science. It's all out there. It's clean food, sleep well, and exercise, And if we manage to make this a habit and a routine, it's like brushing your teeth. You don't have it on your to-do list. You just do it because it becomes a habit and a routine. So the same with walking, the same with movement, the same with exercising. It shouldn't be a chore that, oh my God, I have to go to the routine. You just do it. You just put your shoes out in the morning, the night before already. So in the morning they greet you, you have everything to go. You don't think about it. You just execute. You just do it. So that I really recommend everyone to make it second nature. So it's not something you dread doing. You don't even think about it.
Love it, indeed. And there's another great question here. We talk about health, and Sionis is also asking another question about productivity, and performance and achieving goals. And but what do you think? And as society, talk more about fun, joy, happiness too, especially in these times. Do you think we should talk more about that?
No, I'm a firm believer of the Chinese said it well. I think it was Chinese, with the yin and yang, right? I mean, there's energy spend and energy need to recover. That's why we sleep at night, most of us, I suppose, and spend the energy we got during the day. So I think there is definitely a need to balance. It was, back in the days, when the industrialization, it was really man, muscle, power, that kind of really physical time spent. It's shifted over the years to more mental workers, and I think it's the same, if not harder, to sit the whole day in front of numbers, accountants, bankers, cashiers. A lot of respect for those people. Yet you don't use your body at all. So I think it's very important to people say work-life balance, but it should be an integration where you kind of just to combine the two. It's not you switch off one and the other continues, because again we're still subject to our phones, right? And it's not that I'm general manager of a hotel and I finish my work at 7. So if you call me at 8, sorry, call me tomorrow. I'm still going to be available. If there's an emergency, I'm still going to come to the hotel. So you can't just switch off. As leaders of companies, we are there. On holidays, on the weekend, we have to be there and accountable for our team and our guests and customers. So I think again, being mindful of or conscious of when you are off, to really try to make an office to disconnect. I think that's important. So, for example, one of the best things I've done is to turn off the push notification for emails. Naturally, all of us check our inboxes so many times a day, right? So I don't need right away a push email now to see a newsletter or some email that is anyways an FYI to take over my thinking space, because you will be distracted. If I get now a push notification, instead of talking to you, I will briefly look at it, say, oh my God, he wants something. So I'm only half with you. The other half I'm dedicated to this email, which is so irrelevant right now. So I think, again, being very conscious of how much time and energy and thinking we spend. When we're off, we try to make an effort to be properly off, relax. Doesn't mean you have to sleep in. I think people make the mistakes on the weekend when they're off. They just sleep in until 2, 3 o'clock, and I think that's relaxation. The body needs, again, consistency and routine. Keep waking up at the same time, but then rather go for a walk, do something different, do something fun that you normally don't do, spend time with people that inspire you. and these sort of things. So I really believe in hard work, but I don't think it's the right thing to only work hard and don't look after yourself, because again, ultimately there will be detriment on your health, which, as we spoke, is bad for your long-term success and happiness.
Absolutely. I agree. I believe you can have it all. I mean, it's not easy, but you got to learn these things. You got and start to automate. When you start introduce, I would probably advise to do one at a time. Maybe don't introduce 100 things at the same time, because it'll be overwhelming. But overcome one, master it, then get another one, and then in different categories. And you're right. You can call someone you haven't spoken in a long time, and that you really want to reconnect and talk. Do something different. You said it so well. I mean, like, instead of doing the routine, break the routine, switch off, really find this time to relax. Thank you for all these kind of valuable insights on the practical tools, Kai. It's really very helpful. And look, what excites you? I'm curious. You've seen a lot. How old are you, by the way? What's where are you in your life journey?
I'm 34 years old. I feel 24.
Amazing.
But that's definitely for age again is such a factor that's just a number. And again, I think the whole life changes. When you were 25 back in the days, you had to be married, 3 kids, and your whole life figured out. Now we live up to 100. I mean, my plan is to live 120. That's my goal, to be at least 120 years old. So, when I had my 30th birthday, I said I reached the first quarter of my life, right? So
I love it.
And I think it's, you have to, I'm a believer in setting goals and objectives. So if, because when I was starting my career, I had a lot of guests that come to me, kind of on the older side. They would say, listen, I have another 4 or 5 years, and then I made it. I said, sorry, well, what did you make? Well, I retire and I can enjoy life. And I think that's like the saddest thing to say. That means exactly. That means the majority of your life you didn't enjoy doing something you don't like. And I think life is too short for that. I think, and I really would not want to be with 60 years old just sitting in my rocking chair and enjoying that, because I think the body needs a reason to get up in the morning. If it doesn't have that anymore, eventually it won't get up, right? So if I have a clear objective of getting 120 years old and keep myself busy, I think there is a way to get there. What makes me happy? I mean, obviously, a lot of things, starting with obviously travel, which we all love and dearly miss. The last 2 weeks for me was really eye-opening, and I just once again fell in love with traveling, seeing new things, seeing beautiful hotels, meeting nice people. It's just so amazing. Meeting inspiring people. In Dubai, we met so many new people that we didn't know before. That when you listen to their story and their humble beginnings, it's not the people who studied at Stanford and their parents are rich people from where have you, but the people who are self-made with nothing and came up with a great idea, chased it consistently and became successful. It kind of it puts things in perspective. When you think you're doing quite well and you're on a good track, you feel like, wow, there's actually another level. You better step it up, my friend. And it kind of inspires me. I like to look up and people. Rather than being envious, I say, wow, if he had done it, or her has done it, what can I do to get myself there, right? So it kind of pushes me to not get comfortable, because you said it before, get uncomfortable. Everybody seeks comfort in life. We all want to be comfortable, but comfort is the biggest, slow down to your growth. So you need that discomfort, getting outside of your routine in order to grow. And that's what I'm seeking, and I get a lot of pleasure out of this and trying new things. We're first time in the desert in Dubai, driving a desert buggy. I mean, I loved it. Such a fun activity. It gave me so much joy. I mean, it's not obviously something I'll do every day, but again, different activities, like you said, skydiving. Just try different things that you normally wouldn't do, that kind of light up the spark and give you new input into your day-to-day life.
Love it. There's so much to do, as you said. Kai's objective is 120 years old, guys. So better get up your health habits better and get at least to the triple number, at least to 100. and that is definitely possible with what's coming. I'm absolutely convinced that this is the way forward with care, healthcare, the right. And as you said, it doesn't happen just like that. It comes with consistency and conscious efforts in that. And Kai, what do you think we can do to spread the care culture?
Well, obviously things like this help. Hopefully we impact at least one person, if not more. That would be great. But if after this talk one person goes away and said, yeah, listen, maybe I should be more caring and step up my care and listen to my team and be a good leader, I think we already done our little part for today. But in general, I think spreading the awareness and leading by example. I think if you see the leaders back in the day, I think we all had such bosses that were rude, didn't listen, you could never speak to them, and that was kind of the role model, and that was seen as acceptable. I think these days it's very clear it's no longer the way how you can run a company, and people would leave you. So I think the fact that good leaders are out there, are speaking about it, are sharing their principles, I think it kind of builds once again a sort of global approach and thinking of what a good leader should be and what they should be doing, and through that, I think hopefully up and coming leaders are learning their way and finding their way in the process. And again, what is care today might be different in 10, 20 years, right? And it's different to different people. Care in China might be different than care in Germany. So you have to be smart enough and adapt to where you are, to who you talk to, and who needs what. But I think just being aware that this is a crucial topic, and the fact that you do such great job around this whole topic, I think speaks for you and hopefully inspires a lot of people to step up their own care game, so to say.
No, this is greatly appreciated, and all these wisdoms and advices. And is there a situation when your care was put to the test, something that it was very challenging or difficult, a decision you had to make?
Look, obviously it's in hotels you see everything from guest challenges to employee challenges. So you see a full spectrum of life, right? Anything that happens in life, you see it at some stage in the hotel. So obviously a lot of things happening, but of course, as I said before, and I think that's why it's a fine line between listening and over listening, or being too empathetic, because some people sometimes do take advantage of that, and you start listening by one thing and giving advice, but once they do continuously coming back and almost take advantage of it to a point where you can't really do your own job or be available for other people because they are overusing and drowning your own energy. Again, you're at risk of losing the energy you have that you could give to other people as well. So it doesn't mean just shut the door in their face, but be very transparent. Say, listen, this is as much as I can do, but in your own personal life, that's not. I can give you advice and few pointers, but I'm not responsible for your own personal decisions in your own life. And obviously, I don't want to go into too much details because it is personal, but I've seen that where people really, bring all their problems at home and so on to the workspace and expect you as a manager or leader to fix them. And that's not the role. So you have to be, again, not just push them away, but be transparent. Say, listen, I'd love to help you and I can give you a few advice and some life wisdoms that maybe you experience, but there needs to be clear boundaries. We talk about job is one thing, but your personal life. And so I think, in the beginning, maybe I didn't set these rules and I saw that they were maybe overstepped their boundaries. So now I'm being very transparent. So listen, I'm happy to give a few pieces of advice if that helps. But we're here to work and to deliver service to our guests, and that's what it is.
I love what you said, because care is also honesty. And if something doesn't work, and say, look, and you have to part way with someone, or say, look, this is who we are, this is how we do things. And if it doesn't work, that's fine, no hard feelings. But also honesty makes it's a great way to deliver. So thank you for sharing that. And Kai, final question. I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about with you. It's such a pleasure to go on and talk about these great stories. And thank you for allowing us, a bit deeper and sharing some practical things and mentioning a number of tools that you use for your personal really care. And finally, just to wrap it up, what is your vision? Since you want to live to 120 as a goal, so I better ask you for what's your vision for a better world in the next post-COVID, the next probably 1 to 3 years, midterm, and maybe long-term, which is more kind of decades ahead. So,
for the world itself, or how I see myself in the world?
Well, your vision for better future. What do you see?
Okay. Look, I mean, obviously it all starts by hopefully getting through this global pandemic sooner than later. I think we've all had enough by now. It's been really challenging, almost 12 months now that we've been in it. And, to be fair, the end is not really in sight, but it can only get better from here. So I'm positive it will definitely improve sooner than later. So once that's behind us, again, of course, there's so many global problems, and we are obviously not here to solve the world's matters. But I think, again, spreading positivity, and I know that's not a good word to say anymore. I still like the word, and I mean it in a good sense, not in a coronavirus positivity sense. Spreading positivity. And if that crisis has taught us anything, is I think taking charge of the things that you can control, rather than leaving things to chance or to things that are beyond us. Everybody uses this force majeure. Force majeure, if something is out of my hands, nothing I can do. There's always something that you can do, that you can control. So look for the solutions, look for what you can impact, and however small that may be. But there's always a way how you can be different and you can control something. Because if you completely without control, that I think that's a sad way to live. And that way you're certainly not going to reach 120 years. So take ownership of your mistakes, ownership of your wins, and ownership of what you can control, and then lead the way from the front and stay positive, stay optimistic. And I think good things will happen for sure.
Great. And what about the kind of more longer term? How do you see the world? What's your vision? What are you excited? What's kind of the long term?
Well, if you ask me like that, then I mean, listening to the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, and his endeavors reaching to Mars. Well, I'd be happy to one day maybe go beyond the world. That'd be interesting to see. And if I live to 120,
I have a hotel with robots serving that they might argue amongst each other.
Exactly. And open the first Kempinski on the Mars. That would be the challenge.
I love it. Look, thank you so much, Kai, and thank you everyone for joining in today. There are a number of great comments, and I thank you for Dario Mora for obviously sending a comment, and say hello from obviously Sydney, as well, from a LinkedIn user as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and of course we will record this so it will stay for generations to come. But most of all, thank you, Kai, for spending the time and thank you for giving back and being a giver.
My pleasure, and let's catch up in 80 years.
With pleasure, Kai. we'll be soon. So let's see you guys, in 90. What is it? 80, according to you, 86 years.
Yeah,
86
exactly.
years. Amazing, great. Well, have an amazing.
Nice talking to you, Marian. Thank you very much. All the best, everybody.